WrestleManiacs, Maniacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. Adam, Donald, Indy, and Josh. Then now together forever and son. WrestleManiacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. WWE, AEW, TNA, JPW. WrestleManiacs. And good evening, WrestleManiacs. It is I, at Gamer Peroski tonight, and we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. We're going to be reviewing AEW Dynasty 2024. And may I say, just out of the gate, this was one hell of a show. Again, I don't really watch AEW too much. Again, every once in a while, I'll do a review on Rangers of Wrestling with Dodala or so, but really haven't kept up with it. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT keep me pretty busy, as well as the WWE PLEs. But you know, I got to say, I watched this on a whim tonight. Just decided to go ahead and order the pay-per-view and watch it. And I can say for sure, I definitely don't feel that I wasted my money. So really, let's just get on into it. Our first opening match that we had tonight was for the AEW Continental Championship. It is, and again, I'm going to butcher the name, so sorry, Kazuchika Okada versus the Bastard Pac. Now, I've got to say, or Pac, I should say. You know, I've got to say this match, just as an opener, what I'm really loving is AEW tonight really kind of brought it. Again, stage setup was pretty simplistic, but I really liked how AEW was all action-packed tonight. And must I say, a best way to open, you've got JR on commentary returning back. You've got, again, this championship on the line, and you've got Okada versus Pac. Again, I don't know too much about Okada. I know a pretty good amount of Pac, as he was in WWE as well as Neville, and was impressive there. So I've got to say, this was a pretty hard-hitting match tonight. We've got some pretty sick moments. One sick moment I can remember during this match was Okada hitting a DDT from the barricade, let's just say, onto the floor to Pac. So imagine, if you will, here's the barricade right here. We have Pac's feet here, and boom, DDT right onto the floor. Sick moment. Definitely a sick, amazing moment. Definitely had a lot of different back and forth kicks, a lot of different movesets, German suplexes. I mean, it was quite a great match, a great opener. We did have one thing that I really did love. The entire match, I was kind of thinking, look, Okada's over. Okada definitely, I don't want to say wrestles like a babyface, but everybody's saying, Okada, let's go Okada, let's go Pac. So, I mean, again, throughout the match, he really, to me, didn't feel like he was much of a heel. I know his character is supposed to be a heel with the Young Bucks, from what I understand, but it doesn't seem like he was really a heel until there was a great moment where, again, he had the fighting spirit, had his hands up kind of deal, put his fist down, and then, I can't do it here, but flips off the entire St. Louis crowd. And to me, that was a great moment, because it's literally, as I was thinking it, he's really going to kind of hype the crowd up. He's really going to kind of play to the crowd, turns around, flips them all off, and they turn against him. You know, F Okada. Instead of chanting Okada, Okada, they now start chanting, the crowd does, F Okada. So great psychology there. Definitely did not expect that. So definitely loved how that came across. That was a really cool moment, I thought. Again, great match. We had a win from Okada, hitting his Rainmaker finisher on Pac. And so we still have our champion, the AEW Continental Champion, as Okada. So again, really good match, really good opener. JR disappeared until the end of the show, but definitely great having him on commentary, putting Okada over, and apparently referencing the fact that he has been doing, and actually saw Okada for the first time at Wrestle Kingdom 9, I believe, in 2015, and has kind of commentated this match. So kind of a cool Easter egg if you've kind of followed Okada and JR's foray from Japan and in JPW. So really good thing. Really no backstage segments tonight. We now go to a six-man tag, or a trios match, I should say, with Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe versus the House of Black. Now, again, not really watching the shows beyond the kind of lead-in a couple of weeks ago. Definitely, this match was kind of a barn burner. It definitely was a wild, full of mayhem, full of flips and dives. One spot I can recall and tell you is, imagine, if you will, Mark Briscoe put a folding chair on the apron, yes, on the apron, mind you, of the ring, and literally ran and jumped onto this chair and dove over the chair onto, I believe it was, and again, correct me if I'm wrong if you watched the pay-per-view, I believe it was, oh gosh, It's one of the guys from House of Black. I just know it was very impressive. Again, and I was thinking, gosh, if that chair had slipped, if that chair had moved, we would have had a big amount of trouble. Again, we had a really good match. This was a really good barn burner of a match. I dare say, I don't want to call it a bunkhouse brawl, but it definitely felt like that style of bunkhouse brawl type of just, mayhem everywhere. We had a cool spot in the match where all three men, being Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe, on all sides of the apron, actually ended up hitting a spear on all three members of the House of Black. Brody King, Brody King, I believe Mark Briscoe jumped onto. But again, it was great. And the entire story of the match really was the fact that Edge has been wanting his hands on Malachi Black and really has not been able to get his hands on him through these last couple of weeks. So what we get in the finishing sequence is Adam Copeland is going to hit the spear onto Malachi Black. Again, something he's been wanting to get his hands on as he runs. Malachi Black hits him with the Black Miss, hits him with his brutal kick to the head and pins him 1, 2, 3. And shockingly, to me at least, the House of Black actually beat Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe. And again, interesting enough, they're all champions, funnily enough. I thought that was kind of a neat thing. Mark Briscoe being world champ for ROH, Adam Copeland being our TNT champion, and Eddie Kingston being the NJPW Open Heavyweight champion. So again, I thought a really good match. Definitely really good video at the beginning to kind of set up the match, again, if you had not seen it. So again, great match here between all 6 of these individuals. So our next match we get is a AEW TBS Championship match with the champion Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. Now, again, as I said, I've only just watched this, and you haven't been watching the last couple of weeks. The video package for this match I thought was really good. Establish who Julia Hart is, establish Willow Nightingale as your babyface. And this was apparently a house rules match, meaning that apparently there are no rope breaks, as well as there's a 20 count on the outside of the ring instead of your typical 10 count. This match was pretty good. I dare say it was telegraphed early that Willow Nightingale, at least based upon the introduction of Mercedes Moné a couple of weeks ago. Again, pretty decent match. Again, they told the story of Willow Nightingale win the big one. Will she win in front of her family? And of course she did. You had Stokely on commentary, which is great. Again, always a great comedy character. Always good Tony. Go girl, get her. Go girl, get her. So really great. But again, in this match, pretty decent match. Again, I wouldn't say a barn burner, but definitely serviceable for what it was. More of a story. You actually had Willow Nightingale become the new AEW TBS champion. And throughout the match, you actually would see a pan back to Mercedes Moné watching in the back. And once Willow Nightingale won, got in the ring with Stokely, celebrating, all of a sudden you hear CEO, CEO. And out comes Mercedes Moné to basically, on commentary, and they made a good point, to steal that moment, to steal that feel-good moment from Willow Nightingale by basically going in the ring, staring her down, basically saying, look, I'm going to challenge for that championship at the next pay-per-view at Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. So, again, serviceable, but again, I would dare say more of a storyline for Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale, kind of a build-up to their feud. Julia Hart, from my understanding, really looks like a great character. Again, I kind of wish I hadn't missed out on her, but I definitely will want to go back and kind of see what her character is, and hopefully going forward there will be a little bit more progression, let's just say, of her character. So definitely a great match here too. We next go to a really catch-as-catch-can technical type of match with Roderick Strong, the AEW International Champion, versus Kyle O'Reilly. Now, again, for those of you who know the history between these gentlemen, Roderick Strong is a part of the Undisputed Kingdom with Adam Cole, as well as Matt Taven, as well as Mike Bennett, all kinds of different crew. But literally, to me, at least for a WWE fan here, I should say, this was a match that I would have seen on NXT with the Undisputed Era. So definitely neat that they called back to that. They called back to their PWG days as well as ROH days. So a pretty good match, I guess. Seems like there was a lot of heat between these two. But again, I can't really say that the video package convinced me of that I ever felt Roderick Strong was in danger of losing his AEW International Championship. As we know, Roderick Strong hits a million backbreakers a million different ways. That was kind of the story of basically beating Kyle O'Reilly down. And as Kyle O'Reilly was coming back, basically looking like he was going to win, enter Wardlow to basically cost Kyle O'Reilly the match. And after the match, we actually have Adam Cole being wheeled out in the wheelchair. But to everyone's surprise, he actually stands up, walks in the ring, literally they stand over poor Kyle O'Reilly's body essentially and celebrate the fact that Roderick Strong is still the AEW International Champion. So again, pretty serviceable match. Again, like I said, I think it's more of a storyline. The fact that it almost, I would dare say that Adam Cole kind of overtook it, showing that he can now stand up and walk. So again, I really honestly expected something to do with MJF here. I really didn't see much of it that I expected, but I still have questions about what MJF is doing and if he's really coming back or if he's gone. Who knows? But a pretty serviceable match, technical, a lot of submission holds, backbreakers, but again, pretty serviceable match. The next match we have is for the FTW Championship and an FTW rules match, which basically means no holds barred, falls count anywhere. Again, just kind of, I dare say, ECW style almost in a way. We have Hook, our FTW champion, versus Chris Jericho, or now the Learning Tree Chris Jericho. My understanding of the storyline is that basically Chris Jericho has taken Hook under his wing, going to show him kind of the ropes, kind of give him some advice, sit under his learning tree, as he calls himself now. And evidently he messed up by basically pushing Taz, who is Hook's father, and basically telling him, look, I never really trusted you to begin with. And we come into this match. This match was pretty good. I, again, have not seen much of Hook beyond I know that he was very dominant in his championship reign, but it seems like this is a match to really start to kind of move him forward as a character and as his progression of time. This match was your hardcore match. Again, you had suplexes. You had a suplex on the table. You had a lot of different, again, like I said, I want to say ECW style match, because you had it to where he would have a trash can on Chris Jericho's head, hit him with a kendo stick, do I believe it's a T-bone suplex, if I remember correctly, as Jericho had his head into the trash can. So again, a really good match. I mean, really, it was really more of a story at the end. Story being that basically Jericho beat him up, tried to take him out. Essentially, Hook kept coming back. And finally, you have this image of Taz, again, on commentary, talking about this is his kid, basically saying, I warned him about Chris Jericho a long time ago. And again, I really like that they're really pointing out to the fact that he's my kid. You don't think I'm going to tell him about these characters and what they're like? So I thought that was a really cool added element to the match. But what you have is basically Jericho standing up, holding a bat, and telling Hook, look, don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. Just stay down. And essentially Hook gets up, gives him the double bird. Jericho hits him and looks like right in the face, pretty much pins him 1, 2, 3, and is the new FTW champion, Chris Jericho, the learning tree, Chris Jericho. Interestingly enough, I really expected more interference for Taz. I really would have telegraphed, at least in my mind, Taz stopping him with the bat before he hit him. But again, maybe there's a story there we haven't seen yet. After the match, of course, Jericho wins, but he doesn't look very happy. He looks disappointed the fact that he had to do what he had to do, saying multiple times, I'm sorry, both to Hook and also to Taz, walking off with the championship, looking distraught, almost having to beat Hook, his protege, at least in his mind. And Taz basically saying, just get away from my kid, get away from him. So a really good match, a lot more storytelling. Again, I shouldn't be surprised, I guess, with Chris Jericho, but I really love the story of the fact of he's saying, look, I'm sorry, I don't want to have to do this, kid, but I'm going to have to take you out. So, again, your new FTW champion, Chris Jericho. We get another build-up video to the match for the AEW Women's Championship. Timeless Toni Storm, the champion, versus Thunder Rosa. Now, look, again, I haven't been following AEW, but I do know about Timeless Toni Storm and this, I couldn't even say, such a unique character. Same with Thunder Rosa. But I really watched this video and really was excited to see their match, especially the fact that Toni Storm destroyed Thunder Rosa's makeup. And what we have in the match is Thunder Rosa showing up face-to-face with Timeless Toni Storm with a mask on. Commentary asks, is she going to wear the mask the entire time? And to commentary's surprise, she has little to no makeup. Usually she has her whole face or half a face set up into the, I believe, Mexican culture type of, I believe it's muerte. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, style. So she really just has some makeup, basically saying she's going to focus more on taking Toni Storm's championship. And, this match was pretty good. Again, I didn't expect any different between these two individuals. I know they're very talented. What we end up having is actually Mariah May comes out. Basically, he's trying to, distract him. We have Deonna Purrazzo, who Toni Storm had been feuding with prior, basically taking out Mariah May away from the ring. And we actually have Timeless Tony Storm pick up the win here, even though I expected Thunder Rosa to win here. They talked about in commentary the fact that Timeless Tony Storm never got past her third title defense. So seems like to me, once they said that, you kind of knew what was going to happen, that Tony Storm was going to retain. But I did like how she retained. As the referee was distracted, she basically hit a low blow on Thunder Rosa, hit her with her, Storm Zero pile driver, and actually kept the title. So again, congrats to Thomas Tony Storm. She is still the AEW Women's Champion. And again, I would definitely say this was something that a little disappointing to see Thunder Rosa lose, but I'm hoping that maybe this will lead to a cage match, some sort of other gimmick match that finally Thunder Rosa may win. But excuse me, I did like how they ended this match. So again, I really like that Tony Storm is such a great character. So is Thunder Rosa, and I want to see them fight again in a more, I would dare say, cage setting. That'd be really cool for me, at least. So now we get to what has been said as the match of the century, or a wrestling fan's dream, the perfect 5-star match, essentially a 6, 7-star match without question, an instant classic, as the sign said in the crowd. We have Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, the Aerial Assassin versus the American Dragon. Would the Aerial Assassin take down the American Dragon, or the American Dragon prevail? Well, folks, I will tell you this. This match was one hell of a show. It literally could have gone another 45 minutes and I would have had no problem. 90 minutes, no problem. Because throughout this entire match, it started a little slow, I will say, at least for me. But the build up to the finish, quite amazing. There were so many moments, it was hard to even keep up. There were hard hits, there were kicks, there were, let's put it this way. For both these gentlemen, I legitimately felt like they were going to hurt themselves legitimately. Not only with Will Ospreay's arm, also with the kicks to Will Ospreay's stomach. I love that Danielson focused on his stomach later on in the match, basically punching him. One great sequence that we had was actually one where Danielson was going to kick his effing head in, as he says. And what I really liked the fact is they would punch him in the stomach, kick him in the face, punch him in the stomach, kick him in the face. And they really sold this. I mean, especially Ospreay. What I really loved about Ospreay in this match was anytime he really got a hard kick, whether it was to the side, whether it was to his neck, essentially to his neck, essentially, he would point to the ref and say, here, check this. And the referee would run over to him. I mean, look, Ospreay and Danielson took a heck of a lot of damage. I mean, let's see. Let's think of some of the spots that I can think of. We had Danielson hit a tiger driver. Yes, a reverse tiger driver, tiger suplex, I should say, excuse me, from the top rope, basically hooking Ospreay's arm behind and literally throwing him off of the top rope, and Ospreay landing on his neck in a very awkward, very scary position. We had Danielson take a tiger bomb at the end, which I really thought he legitimately hurt his neck. Again, if they did a storyline for this, kudos to them, because again, I would have never expected that. It made me doubt. A lot of these spots in this match made me really think they really hurt each other, especially in the arm, the shoulder, everything like that. Again, best way I can tell you, go out of your way to see this match. I usually don't say that about many matches, but this one specifically was a great showing. Again, there to me was no flaws. Would I say it's perfect? No match is really, I think, ever perfect, but this was damn near close. And again, for it to only be 30 minutes in length, I really thought we were going to go an hour, and I would have not noticed any difference that it went an hour. We actually get Will Ospreay actually get the win with a hidden blade and a tiger driver on Danielson. However, as he hit the tiger driver on Danielson to end the match and win for the 1, 2, 3, you actually look like you actually had a really legitimate injury. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let me correct myself. He did a tiger bomb and then hit the hidden blade on him and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. But that tiger bomb, you see Danielson's head hit in such a way that immediately he grabs his neck like this. Now, again, granted, we're all used to wrestlers selling, but really what kind of made me concerned was the referee, as well as, you could see commentary kind of trying to get up and look at it, at least with the mics, how it seemed like they were dropping their mics. You also had the doctors come out and check his neck, and Danielson saying, I can't say it out here, but the F word a lot. And even Ospreay looking concerned, saying, what's happened? Now, what's interesting about Ospreay in this entire thing is that I really couldn't tell he was a heel. I couldn't tell who was the heel. Was it Danielson? Was it Ospreay? Were they both kind of tweeners? Because they hit each other so hard with such viciousness. Again, there's a modicum of respect, as you can tell, but really the brutality they had against one another. And especially after Danielson was holding his neck, I really wonder, was this just a storyline progression, or was he really hurt? Because I will tell you that tiger driver was pretty brutal. So again, I won't spend much time on this else. But again, I would say go out to see this match. Great match. Again, hopefully Danielson's okay. Hopefully it was just a storyline. Hopefully they hooked me. And if they did, that'd be great. I'm hoping that's the case. So again, kudos to both men for kicking each other's asses like expected. So we get next is actually a ladder match for the AEW Tag Team Championships that were left vacant after Sting retired with Darby Allin as his partner. So this is the finals for the AEW Tag Team title tournament that's been going on the last couple of weeks. You have FTR versus the Young Bucks in a ladder match. You know, this match, the best I can say is a car wreck. Again, just coming down from the Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson match, that was such a great match, such an emotional style match to get into. It was actually kind of hard to get into this ladder match. Not that I didn't expect these four gentlemen to take the time and make this a barn burner. It certainly was. Again, but how are you going to follow Ospreay and Bryan Danielson? So I really felt bad for both them and also the main event. But this match was pretty good. Dax Harwood got busted open early. And throughout the match, you had the story of basically Dax essentially having to have no energy to be able to fight the Bucks. Now, granted, he came back with definitely a lot of different moves and a lot of different comebacks. But again, they really told the story, which I really liked, that Dax Harwood, that Cash Wheeler, basically had to fight for his team. Essentially, he was down a partner. Again, you had some great spots. You had a EVP trigger where Cash Wheeler was basically, if you imagine a ladder between here and the table, essentially his head right here, kick, and he falls off the ladder. That was a great spot. We had a Shatter Machine. We had a Power and Glory spot with FTR, which basically Dax Harwood superplexed one of the Bucks from the top of the ladder, and then Cash Wheeler jumped off top of the ladder with a body splash. Again, great match, one hell of a ladder match. Definitely some scary spots, especially with, I believe it was Dax Harwood giving a pile driver to one of the Bucks onto the ladder that was set up on the outside. Very scary moment. A lot of it, again, let's put it this way, people. The crowd themselves at the final part of the match was chanting, "Please be careful. Please be careful." Now, to me, if that doesn't tell you something, that this crowd knew that they were hopelessly not hurting each other for real by trying to entertain them, again, pretty scary moment. It almost is the akin of "please don't die, please don't die." So anyways, the winners actually end up being the Young Bucks when Jack Perry, yes, Jungle Boy, the guy that nobody wants to talk about after the AEW London show, basically returns in a mask, essentially pushes FTR, which Dax Harwood, actually off of the ladder as he's about to grab the tag team titles. That distraction allows the Bucks to actually get up and grab the tag team titles. So your new first ever 3-time AEW tag team champions are the EVPs themselves, the Young Bucks. So again, great match. Hard to follow Ospreay and Danielson, but definitely a barn burner and definitely a hell of a match there themselves. And now, it's now going to be the question of the main event. Is it going to be Swerve's house, or is Samoa Joe still going to own this island of AEW? And I will tell you, this match, again, I don't want to say suffered from following Ospreay and Danielson and the ladder match, because in itself, the match is a great match. Definitely a story told of a young boy basically wanting to become champion, the first African-American champion of AEW, in fact. This match was pretty serviceable. Again, it's hard to rate it because, again, I have to go back and watch it, to be honest with you, because, again, it's hard to rate it because, again, you have such an emotional match in the last two matches prior to this. But the great spot we have is our new AEW World Champion. Yes, it is. It is Swerve's house. It is Swerve Strickland, the new AEW champion. And again, what an emotional moment. What a great thing to see everybody in the crowd just basically lose their minds, the fact that we now have a new AEW World Champion. We actually had JR on commentary, which, again, as we all know, JR adds to the value of any match just with his commentary. And again, folks, this was a great show. Again, I can't say that I disliked this match. This match was a great match. It definitely was a show that I think will go down in the annals of AEW history, not just because of Swerve Strickland's historical win as the first African-American AEW champion, but a lot of stuff. The first time that you have Danielson versus Will Ospreay. Now, will we see a trilogy between them two? I certainly hope so. But on the scale of this entire pay-per-view, again, not watching AEW in the last couple of weeks, I will tell you, it's making me want to tune into Dynamite and Collision and Rampage. It makes me want to actually go and see what's going to happen with these characters. And again, it's not that I don't dislike AEW. It's just hard to find time between all the other shows at WWE. But I definitely say that they have convinced me. Now, one important thing I would ask is if you would comment below what your thoughts on the show was tonight. Did you think it was a perfect 10? Did you think it was serviceable? I would give this a 9, really. And again, that's I definitely think it was a great match and a great showing for AEW tonight. I definitely think it was one that I think back to myself as a kid, right? You know, as a teenager growing up, would I have bought the DVD and waited for the DVD or the Blu-ray to come out and buy this? Yes. Certainly, I would definitely add this to my collection of AEW pay-per-views whenever the DVD or Blu-ray comes out. I definitely think it's worth a watch. It's worth ordering if you hadn't seen it, going out of your way to find this match, because this card was actually great. There wasn't really any type of moments that felt like a drag, and this show started at 7 o'clock in the evening, and it just now ended at 11 o'clock Central Time. So what, 8, 9, 10, that's 4 hours, and it felt like it flew by because there was no fluff, no boring stuff. It literally was action, 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 action. Every match, I think, delivered, and I wouldn't say there was any snoozer on the show. So folks, again, that's it for my review of AEW Dynasty. Again, we got through pretty quickly. Let's see here. Oh, I've got a couple. Oh, actually, from A+, more phenomenal. With all the talk about the show and the highlights I've seen, I don't normally watch AEW, but I'm going to have to check this one out for sure. Yes, I would also say the same. Again, I went into this blind. I knew, again, some of the matches just by following wrestling online. Hadn't watched any of the shows, but I definitely would say check this one out, folks, because, again, none of the matches were bad. There was not a single match that I can tell you, you can skip it, because even the Julia Hart and Willow Nightingale was still a story that we're going to be seeing between Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. So every match had a reason to be on the show. There was no matches on here that were just fluff. So definitely love that for AEW. Definitely love that for AEW fans, WrestleManiacs, and all the rest of us. So what you can do as well, as a favor to me as well, if you can like, comment, and subscribe to WrestleManiacs Podcast under the A+ Hero Report banner. You can always follow me on Twitter at GamerParosky, as well as you can follow us on A+ Opinions at Twitter as well. So WrestleManiacs, for me, for you, and for everyone else in the world, thank you so much for joining, and have a good evening, and I will see you guys and gals on Monday for Monday Night Raw. See you later.